Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the show where 64 teams go head to head to see who is the ultimate champion. I am your commissioner, Cory, and happy Wednesday to you. And we've got another interview for you today. This one's a fun one, one of the earlier ones we did with Adam Merino. But before we get into that, we got a couple of show notes for you. We crossed our 10th episode yesterday with our interview with Don Hall. And a little bit biased, but I think we had our best live show last night with me and Matthew Ane from Locked On Fantasy Baseball. And yeah, it's a great show. We talk about quarterbacks and who we think we're comfortable drafting and kind of our strategies of drafting quarterbacks. So go check that out. Um, Also, we are quickly reaching 100 subs. So if you could, support the channel. We are trying very hard to get this up and running, and I think we got something special here. But we need your help. So, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and share this out with a friend. Tag one friend today and see if they, like fantasy football, like our content, and we appreciate it. Everything you do helps us, keep the lights on. So, much appreciated. I will say we have four open spots. We brought it up on last night's show. Four open spots left, so we have 60 that are either fully registered or kind of claimed and in coordination for. We're kind of waiting on some PR stuff. But we have four completely open spots. So if you have anybody that's interested in a 64-team fantasy football league or think they might be interested and not really sure how to explain that to them, as we've had to learn how to do that, send them our way, and we will set them up. But without further ado, actually, you know what? I gotta stop saying that crap. Not without further ado, we talk about a whole lot in this episode. We cover, oh boy, Batman. Let's see what else we got here. Han Solo's season. Oh my God, the movie Bruno. I can't believe that movie came up in this conversation. He's working on a '90s podcast, which I'm excited about. So yeah, we cover a whole lot of stuff, and put in the comments who's your favorite Batman. We have our votes, and please don't say Val Kilmer. And yeah, I think everything else is okay. But yeah, here you go, Adam Merino, Influencerr TV. All right. Good afternoon, Adam. How are you today?
Hey, great man! I'm excited to be here. Excited to win this thing, and wanted to thank everyone ahead of time for being in the league as I take part in the winning portion of it.
It's tough talk with a bunch of 49er jerseys behind you, but we'll see how that lasts. So
Right,
actually,
right.
we'll see.
I appreciate you wearing the McCaffrey, although it looks god awful in that
Yeah,
color.
we'll call this the original jersey, and then you guys have inherited our hand me downs. But
Sure, just remember where we went to college. Right in the backyard of where the 49ers are. Just remember that.
yeah, look, it's the player, not the team, right? It's fantasy football, so no
Right,
no honor amongst fantasy teams.
exactly. That is fair, fair.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad that you're able to join us in the league this year. Looks like we're onto something special here with all these teams joining in. But what we want to do today is kind of get to know you a little bit and your background, kind of what brought you to us, what you're working on, and kind of see what your journey is like. So tell us a little bit about Influencerr TV and how you got your start and kind of where you're working at.
Yeah, so Influencer TV is complete podcast production from the conception of thinking of the podcast idea to having 500 episodes and fully monetized and everything in between. And the way it got started was a group in Atlanta before COVID, which I know feels like 87 years ago. Before COVID, they would go to they would bring everything to you. So there's value in that of like you not knowing what to do and like, well, we'll bring everything, we'll set it up, we'll shoot it, we'll record, boom, then we'll edit it, send it, and you don't have to do anything, right? Then COVID changed the entire, you know, the entire world. And now it's been a blessing because now we can have clients in Australia, right? Or Albuquerque, New Mexico. So it doesn't have to be in Atlanta. And so my business partner and I, we're part of the ownership group now that owns the company, and we've taken over. It's been about 18 months or so. It was in December of 2022 when we took over. So, getting paperwork done, and then January is really, so it's been January of 2023, basically. since I've kind of had I work basically as the podcast coach for the company. And so what that means is I'm over every new client and doing touches here and there with the clients that they're going, just to make sure, hey, episode 17, Mike, at the 11-minute mark when you said this and this, moving forward, I'd really like you to start thinking about doing it like XYZ,
Hmm.
because that way you'll get one, two, three, or whatever, right? And then there's way more coaching with getting started, because you don't even know how to load something on Spotify or how to set up a YouTube channel. So obviously the coaching goes a long way in that first month. Once you get going, it's a lot less, but we handle everything from making your logo for you with unlimited edits, and then we make your reels and TikToks and all your short form content that comes from each episode. So you get 3 or 4 of those per episode. So you get at the least 16 pieces of content. Well, you and I both know there's only 31 days in a month at most. So that means every other day we're providing content for you, which is huge for either boosting, if you're trying to boost your brand or get more sales, or brand awareness, whatever that is. 16 pieces of content with the bells and whistles, your name coming in, all that stuff is pretty solid for getting new clients or getting your name out there and establishing yourself as the thought leader. That's huge. And
Yep.
so podcasting is exploding onto the scene. I started in 2016. And so this is a funny story of how I actually got started myself in podcasting. So in 2016, me and 3 buddies were at you may have heard of the restaurant of Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh
And so
yes.
we were we were attending a one Buffalo Wild Wings, and so we're sitting at the high tabletops, the 4 of us, and so we'll take you back in a time capsule to 2016, when Villanova was about to win the Natty, when Ben Affleck was announced as the new Batman, and
Ah.
we were all upset. And I will say he did not ruin the franchise for me, but we thought he would. So the crying Jordan memes were exploding onto the scene. All these things. So we're talking about him. We're watching the game, we're talking about different funny things, and we stop for a little bit. We look around. Everyone is looking and laughing at slash with us, and we're like, it's not because we have sauce. Like, I didn't have Asian zing on the face. That's not the reason why. Typically, that is the reason. And so we're like, wait a minute, guys, we're funny. So we're like, let's go home and find a microphone, put it right in the middle of the table in Paul's apartment, and we'll sit evenly around it. And let's redo this conversation that we're having right now. Let's bring up this. Let's bring up Ben Affleck. Let's talk about camping. Let's talk about all the stuff that we kind of were, and let's record it and see how it goes.
Very
And
cool.
this is in 2016, when podcasting isn't necessarily like at the forefront the way it is in 2024. And so we're like just kind of doing it. And we listened back to it. It was like just under an hour, and we're getting headaches from laughing so much. Mind you, we know what was said. We just did it an hour ago, but we're cracking ourselves up, and we're like, okay, this is a thing.
Yep. We're on to
And
something.
so, yeah, we're onto something. And so, also, if you remember 2016, that this was around the East Coast, it got started first, that safe spaces were starting to sprout up on college campuses. Now, in 2016, the world was so different that you could mock something and not get canceled for it. And so the safe space was what we called ourselves, and it was mocking America's need for a safe space.
All
Now, I see
right.
you laughing because, yeah, that wouldn't fly now. If you call something the safe space, you better mean it. It's a
Yep.
legit
That's
safe
true.
space, right? But in
Yep.
2016, you could kind of mock it, and our tagline was, put the kids to bed. It's time to get offended. Now, you
Nice.
can't do that now.
No.
I mean, you could, you would have enough people, enough following, but you'd have double the amount who'd be ready to cancel you. And so
Yeah.
back then, I'll admit, it was just a little different. And so it was called the safe space. And we talked about The premise is when people would ask us, I would just tell people it's four guys talking in a bar. If you could imagine what four guys are talking about in a bar, it's the new Marvel series that's out. It's the new whatever. It's this show got canceled on Netflix. It's um, this lady is now on this show. This team is coming out of nowhere. They may make the playoffs now. Pop culture, whatever's going on,
So
and
you're
we would
2016. You're talking my Cubbies making the World Series and winning that.
Man, so I mean, it was crazy to think about the storylines. I mean, uh, Colin Kaepernick, like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Clowns when the movie It got re-released, and then clowns were going around, legit harming people. It was
Yeah.
bad. That story was a viral thing. Like we talk about it. My favorite story is around September, October of 2016 or 17 when we're doing the show. We talked about a Han Solo. So for those that listening, and I'll ask you, do you know what a Han Solo is
Yeah.
in the fall?
Do I know what Han Solo is? Of course I know what Han Solo is.
No, but see, in
What?
the fall, do you know what Han Solo's season is?
I do not.
All right, all
Enlighten
right.
me.
So I'm going to spread some knowledge here, and hopefully those that are listening as well. So what I want you to do is, as you listen to this episode, if you need to pause it, that is totally appropriate. I give you that free reign. However, I need you to Google Han Solo season,
Okay.
and when you hit Google Images, here's what you will get. It is very fascinating, and it is equally hilarious.
Uh-oh.
Here's what you get. You
Wait,
get the
wait. Is
Han
this
Solo
family
outfit.
friendly?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
completely.
All right. Go ahead then.
Completely. Absolutely, it is. Because what Han Solo wears, the black boots, cream color, white, mother of pearl, whatever color we're going with, shirt, long
Sure.
sleeve, then the, the vest,
Yep.
right? And then the black pants. Well, here's what you get. In the Midwest, Han Solo season's a big deal because you get women wearing the boots. They have a black shirt,
Oh,
a nice white cream colored shirt, and a vest. And you know what they look like? They look
Rose.
like Han Solo. And so I have great joy come over me when I can walk up to a stranger and say, "Oh, Han Solo," and just start laughing. And then they either get it or they don't. But either way, I tell them. And then they're always embarrassed, like, "Oh, God, that wasn't the look I was going for."
Right.
Like, you realize you're dressed like Harrison Ford in the 70s, right? Is
Yeah.
this what you're going for?
Hey,
And I
that's a
might
thing.
have blown a few minds, but I seriously, if you have not paused this yet, go ahead. Han Solo season, Google image, and you'll get all these girls. Sometimes there's a group of like 17 of them. They're all at a concert. They're all wearing the same freaking thing. It is hilarious. They got the vest, they got a white shirt underneath it, they got boots. It was you just give them a gun or a lightsaber, and
Yep.
they're Han Solo.
To be fair, I missed this Han Solo season. 2016, I was deployed that time, so I wasn't around to witness. And that's probably a good thing from the sounds of it. So
Fair, but hey, I'm telling you, it's still going on. Every fall season,
I'm
like it
gonna look
reemerges.
now. I'm
Now
gonna
you're gonna
look.
look, and you will just start laughing at the image of what's so fun is when you see like multiple girls in the same picture wearing basically the same thing, and you're just like, dear Lord, you look like Harrison Ford in 1977.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
that's
So yeah,
awesome.
that's the season. But that's stuff that we talked about on the podcast, just to give an example of what stupid things that we would talk about.
So,
But
so
again, four guys in a bar.
yeah, so you brought it up. So it sounds like Asian Zing is the sauce of choice at Buffalo Wild Wings. Who's not a
I would
sponsor, but I love Buffalo Wild Wings. So
Now I will say they have a few other sauces in the last like 24 months that have come out that they're just trying new things, and they have
okay.
um like not Jamaican jerk, that's already a one, but there's one that's like an Asian General Toe. Have you
Oh,
had
okay.
General Toe flavor
No,
at
I
Buffalo Wild
usually
Wings?
stick with mango habanero as my flavor of choice.
Too hot. Too hot, brother. I want to taste my wings, not just, you know,
Yeah,
have fire going down my gullet.
yeah, that's true. It's a tolerance you build up. It's like calluses, It just works.
That's
You
fair.
work it up.
That's fair.
And then you did bring it up, so I do have to ask because it's always a topic. Who's your favorite Batman? Please don't say Val
Oh,
Kilmer.
Oh gosh, that's a whole other podcast if we could just kind of make fun of it. I liked Dr. Chase Meridian, Nicole Kidman in the one with, and like that made Val better.
Sure.
Just having her and some of those scenes were really cool. But no, no. I will say that Christian Bale did such a great job that it's hard for me not to say him. But as a true Batman guy, my official answer by law, it has to be Michael Keaton.
Okay,
It's
you can
law.
stay in the league then.
Uh, yeah, it's law. But shout out to the man who has the same birthday as a one Adam Merino, January 30th, Christian Bale.
All right. Yeah, I love
You may Google that as well if you like.
I love the Nolan series, especially Dark Knight with Heath
Yeah,
Ledger.
man.
But nothing beats Michael Keaton, especially now that he's making a comeback with
I
Beetlejuice
know,
2 coming
right?
out.
It's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, how they're doing that. Like, I just love. You can nitpick, but dude, I'm here to have a good time watching a movie. I'm not here to nitpick.
Yeah,
I'm here to eat popcorn and smile. Okay, I'm not here to be. Oh, they could. Well, what about like? Come on, dude. Like, can we enjoy life a little bit?
it's true. Yeah, I just as long as I'm entertained, I'm not taken out of the movie, and usually have a pretty good time. It's only I think
Yeah, exactly.
so. I used to work in a movie theater. I've only actually left the theater one time. I'm not going to share what movie that is, but I went to a movie and it was so bad I left the theater only
Well,
once.
so wait. So you're just not gonna tell me? I'll tell you
It
mine.
it was
I'm ashamed.
it was Bruno. I
That's
left,
fair. It's a little ridiculous, right? It's too much. Like I get it.
and I think I was on a date with my now wife at the time. I was like, "No, we don't need to see this."
Yeah, that's fair. The one that I walked out of that I'm ashamed to admit now because I'll watch it any second. I'll stop the podcast now if you want to slip that on and we'll watch it, share screens, and just watch it together.
Bruno?
Nacho
No, I'm
Libre.
good.
No, not Bruno. Nacho Libre was mine.
Oh,
I didn't understand what they were going for, and I
okay.
was like, "What is this?" But now, I was so dumb back then. I fully understand what they were going for, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm
Now
a
I
big
can
Jack
quote it.
Black
I
fan.
love it. Yeah, but I did walk out of that movie.
That's cool. So it sounds like you've got quite a following there with what you've got going on with your friends, and that's awesome. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk football. Let's talk shop a little bit. So we've already gone over your unhealthy obsession with the 49ers behind you. But what brought you to the 49ers territory? Who hurt you, let's say?
Yeah. So I will admit that it's fair that since I was born out there. So I was born in San Jose, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from where the 49ers played a foosball. Um, and so I just growing up, I just was used to it. Like in the Bay Area, you root for the Golden State Warriors, the San Francisco Giants, the San Francisco 49ers. When I way back when the San Jose Sharks weren't around yet, I still think it's weird there's hockey in that area. But anyway, I digress. So I used to think that the Super Bowl was basically when again, keep in mind you're 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. I used to think that the Super Bowl was really known as the 49ers Invitational because I'm dead serious. We were in it so much and I'm not trying to brag. Like I'm being completely honest, man. Like when you're a kid and you're watching football at the end of January and your team is on, you just think like, oh, it's like the Rose Bowl and the team just hosts and we like you don't know that no, sometimes your team doesn't make it. It's a special thing to play in the Super Bowl. Not only that, we won it every time in the 80s. I don't want to talk about recent, but so I don't want to cry on this podcast, but so for me, I like when I was a little kid. Of course, you're gonna like the team that always wins, and they're in your backyard. Like, come on,
Yeah, how can you not?
So that's kind of, and then it grew from there. My love of football, I don't think would have happened if the team that I rooted for wouldn't have had that much success because when your team doesn't do well, it's hard to admit that you watch every game. It's a little deflating. You want to be in a good mood. It's like it's hard to, I think of Lions fans over the last not recently in the last 2 to 3 years, but like over 20 decades, even take out Barry Sanders. Like, what do Lions fans have? It's tough. Like, I get it, and that's why I'm so excited for them. Honestly, for the whole city of Detroit, I really am excited. I only live 3 hours away. I'm going to a Tigers game here next month, like
Nice.
just to go. I'm excited for the city of Detroit. However, it's tough to be a fan if your team is just like, remember the Aints putting the bags on their head,
Yeah.
like it's just tough. And I don't know what that's like. Honestly, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And so I love, 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 love football. And on YouTube, there's a channel called Johnny Dell's Football Academy. And what Johnny does is breaks down the plays of the 49ers. He's a 49er fan. And he draws up the X's and O's, shows the choice route. And this is where McCaffrey makes his cut. And he does it 3 yards deep because this is how the play is supposed to be ran. But I mean, it's mind blowing stuff, right? You're
Huh.
like, whoa. And because the defense is in palms coverage. Do you guys even know what that is? Like, he gets so intricate. It's amazing. So if you're a fan of football, you love it. If you're a fan of the 49ers, you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And so I reached out to him because he didn't have a podcast. So now I host Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast. There's 22,000 subscribers. If there are any 49er fans, please check that out because it's really cool. If you're a football fan, you can look at the channel, at least see some of how the X's and O's and learn more about football because he really does teach. He has like 10 teams' playbooks. He found a quarterback on Twitter who doesn't list who his name is, but he gave Johnny a Google Drive that had like all this stuff.
Huh.
And so he has Shanahan's playbook. He has, it's insane, man. It's crazy.
Someone online is going to figure it out. Also,
Right.
I would watch that channel if I am not a 49ers fan, but I was playing the 49ers because you just broke down the playbook for me, so I would be all over that.
100%. No, 100%. And you know what? What he says when we play certain teams, so let's say we play Philly, he'll say, welcome in. This is Johnny Dell Football Academy, and welcome in to all the Eagles fans because he knows if we're about to play
Smart.
Philly and he's drawing up stuff, so he actually, the views always go up when we play teams with like Dallas. Like anytime we play Dallas, the channel skyrockets because there's so many Dallas fans that will want to watch and see like, all right, what's this guy saying about our matchup? And especially
Smart.
God forbid we lose to the teams like Dallas or whatever. Well, now they want to see the breakdown of the plays.
Yeah, where
And so some of these views, it's over 50,000 views on some of his videos.
Wow.
I mean,
Very cool.
it's crazy. So in some of the podcasts, gets 4,000 views. It's awesome. So to host that is really, really fun. I went to the 49ers Cleveland game where Brock Purdy fumbled it in the rain. We got all our guys hurt. He's still marching down the field, and the rookie from Michigan, Moody, missed the kick to win the game. Terrible experience. Cleveland, it was rainy. It was bad, but I don't live that far, so I went. But here's the cool thing. I had a few people come up to me. They recognized me as hosting the show.
That's
And
cool.
they wanted to get a picture. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. Like, I do it because I truly love it. And like for people to recognize that and like, hey, you're Adam, you host the show, right? Can we get a picture? Like, dude, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So,
Really cool.
Anytime the 49ers lose, I would shed a tear, but I can't because I am a born and raised Raiders fan. So
Yeah,
it
you can't.
it's just not happening. So
Sure.
But
Totally fair, but
wearing a
I'm glad you're
McCaffrey
out of my
jersey
state.
anyway.
Yeah. I figured you just did that for me.
No, I did it because, like I said, there's no loyalty in fantasy football. It's just to the player, not the team.
Subconsciously.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, I think you did. That's
But
what I'm
yeah,
going to update Facebook later.
probably. But I'm also a Cubs and Raiders fan, so I know the drought, so to speak. So go
That's an
figure.
interesting combo.
The one time the Cubs make the World Series, I'm in another country deployed, so I can't watch.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank the Cubs for their service, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty remarkable. That was remarkable, what they did.
Yep, I remember watching it from a computer screen in the middle of the desert and irritated that I could not.
And then the rain delay, right? The rain delay, remember having to wait?
4 hours, something like that. It was nuts, but worth it. Worth it. Never happened again. Worth it.
Oh, God. You would do it every weekend if that's what it meant, that you
Yeah.
were getting a World Series or a Super Bowl or whatever.
I tell you what,
For sure,
the
100%.
perk is being in that different time zone. I was able to buy the merch before most people because of the time zone. So it worked out. So.
Nice. That's what it's about. Yeah.
All right. So we've covered your obsession with the 49ers. Now let's talk fantasy, right? So this is Fantasy Turf War. It's a serious business-ish. 64 teams. That's a lot of teams. But you bring quite a bit of experience to the table. It looks like you've got 20 years of fantasy football experience. But the real question, how many championships do you got under your belt?
So here's what's quite sad is that
he pulls the trophy out.
Yeah, and it's just going to remain here for the remainder of this. And so just this one, man. And it's very disappointing that, like, you put your heart and soul into something, and then, no offense, ladies, but at least 10 times out of 20, I've played with a woman who's never played before, and they maybe not win, but they do considerably better than I do. And they legit draft people on, I've heard of Aaron Rodgers, so I'll get him in the first round. Like,
I'm laughing because I know exactly that person you're talking about. So
it's like it's just frustrating. And so I'm gonna hold it like a WWE belt, just like
we have those this year. We have them.
Okay, I'm in.
Right. What year's the trophy?
So this is just last year.
Okay.
My very first win. I'm coming off. So I will not have this, forever because. Well, wait a minute. What am I saying? Yeah, from this point forward, I'm going to be winning this in that league every year, right? What am I talking about?
19 years of prep work.
Psych myself out. But yeah, if I find a way to not win it, I will have to give this up. But we have this. I can screenshot. When I watch this later, I can screenshot. So let me make my pose. All right, there. So there's my pose. We can screenshot that. You send it to me, all right? And I'm going to have it now.
I'll clip it, and we'll frame it for you.
Oh, boy.
We'll say week 15, how did this age?
And I'll just say the commish came through.
Yeah.
I needed him.
So I got 6. You see behind me there. 6. I got 6 trophies and 6 rings back
there.
No
one likes a bragger, okay?
Look, can't all be this blessed. Look, I don't got the Cubs. Haven't had the Raiders, so I gotta have something, right? So,
all right.
But the commission is abstaining from the league. I have to be nonpartisan in all this effort. So it's only fair that I abstain, and this way I get to touch all the trophies before they mail them out to everybody. So see,
yep, for duty and humanity. Yep, I'm with it. Yep.
All right, so 20 years experience. You got 19 years of building. This finally paid off last year, and now you've got the title. You're bringing it into Fantasy Turf War, and you've bringing the team name, and your team name is
Influencing a Win.
All right. Yes. So I like the tie-in, the Influencerr TV. All right.
Yep.
I like it. Do you think you can influence a win? And then is that for you or is that for your opponent? Is that like who's influencing what?
Yeah. So I'd like to think that I'm really good in the flex. That's where championships, that's where they're born, is in the flex. Because do you start, Robert Meacham over, the backup running back from Miami who's getting the start because so-and-so is hurt, right? Like, those are kind of the moves where, yeah, you can trust Matthew Berry, but at some point you got to go with your gut. And you just, and I think I made a lot of good choices in the flex over the last few seasons. And staying up on the waiver wire is part of it. And so I like to think I carry a very good influence myself over my team and its destiny.
All right. It's a good way to put it. I think, it's certainly, I don't think you win your league from your draft. You could definitely lose your league from your draft, but it's the waiver wire and that weekly interaction that seems to be where you make your money, and that's where you make the difference. Most of the time I win because of a move I made week 3 and not the draft. So that's where it counts. So.
Finding that rookie who you didn't know Puka Nacua was going to do what he did, or even back when Cooper Kupp was a rookie, like you didn't know for sure that these guys were going to take off. This year I hope like a Ricky Pearsall ends up like where it's like, I know he's not the guy for the 49ers, but he was the first round draft pick. And if someone gets hurt, Jawan Jennings or Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk, knock on, hopefully no injuries happen like that. But someone like that, he gets 2 touchdowns in week 1. There's going to be, which is Monday Night Football. I will be there against the New York Jets. I am going to that game. And so, like, that's, you're always looking for who's that guy, right? That's going to, or a rookie running back who at first you thought he'd be second on the depth chart. And then all of a sudden in August, he's number 1, but you're still not going to draft him yet. All of a sudden he has 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you're like, okay, I'm grabbing this dude before anyone else does. There's always that race to see. And then the next 10 weeks in a row, he doesn't even get 80 yards, and no touchdowns. And you're like, how do you know? It's so tough, man. But that's the goal.
And that's how they say it, right? Is success is preparation meets opportunity. Sometimes you're there, it just doesn't show up. That's how it goes. But I also agree, back to something you said earlier, that it's usually the new person in the league who has 0 years of experience somehow winning the whole thing. And there are a few of them in this league. So who knows? They all can't win, though. So
Right. There can only be one Highlander.
Yeah, there can only be one. Awesome. So, all right. Now we've covered your fantasy football. Let's kick it into overtime. We got 3 questions that we cover with every single team. Same questions. Hot spot on the fly. You have no idea what these are. Are you ready?
I'm good. Let's do it.
All right. For question 1, do you believe in aliens?
I think I do. Okay. Is that weird to say? I think I do. Like, it's weird for us to think that we are so significant in this whole universe when Earth is like a speck, and for us to say in a million specks, and we're one of them, that there's only life forms on the one speck. Like, is that really all that realistic? It really probably not. That's not really realistic in my opinion.
Yeah, it's mathematically impossible.
Also, with our technology, you telling me we can't talk to them yet, or we just have movies about it? We don't there's no what's going on here,
Yeah, who knows?
We have seedless watermelon. We have seedless watermelon, but we don't have aliens through a walkie-talkie or get them on an iPhone. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Seedless watermelon. I would hope though it shows more like Paul and not Independence Day. Like when it happens, be the cool dude, not let's hang over the White House dude. So.
And it would be okay if it was like Independence Day, because I have this.
Yeah, you got your one.
I could die. I've seen my team win multiple Super Bowls at a time where I was super into football. I've hosted the 49er podcast. My life has been pretty good, as Larry David would say.
Yeah. All right. Question number 2. What's the most unusual item in your office, and what's the story behind it?
Well, one of them, honestly, I don't know. Are these unusual? I don't know.
Well, Steve Young. At least it's a player.
Bobblehead. I got him on standby.
You got 2 things of the same player in the room. That's a little unusual.
Yeah, and I love foosball. It's not the devil. That's all I can say. I don't know. As far as weird stuff, the other stuff all my plugins for I'm in my studio, and then up ahead in front of us we can't see is my desk, and there's water bottle and a couple shirts that I always have available for if I'm doing different things with podcasting and stuff. So there isn't really anything, to be honest. A couple professional lights for headshots kind of off to the side. That's not really all that unusual. Really, that is probably the most unusual, because everything is that makes sense. He has that, computer screens, wires, this, bottle of water. That was it.
All right. Hey, we've had some weird stuff reported on these interviews where stolen items, some pretty abstract things look, I'll take a bobblehead. It's good.
Yeah. Fair.
All right. And last question. Imagine you could send one message to the world. Anything you want to say. Everyone's listening for the next 30 seconds. What do you got to tell
So I want to start by saying that I'm in I'm almost frustrated, and I'll explain why first, okay? So I host a another podcast that is for the local farmers market here. They have 300 vendors, and I interview all the vendors. And
Oh,
there's
cool.
remarkable stories as you would imagine, right? And that is the very last question that I ask. And here's how I word it. And I've never thought of it myself, which I should for times like this. And how I word it is, the mayor has commissioned you to post a message on our largest building that everyone can see,
Sure.
or the local car guy who has a plane, flies every weekend, that has his name on there, you know, here it's Fred Grody. Everyone knows Fred Grody. If I say that, they start laughing, right? Everyone has a Fred Grody in their city, whoever, right? Well, so I say, all right, or Fred Grody's going to fly your plane and going to get your message out on his plane. What is your message? And I say it every time, but now that you're asking it back to me and even taking this time to stall,
So you're good at filibuster, huh?
whoa, come on now. I do this for a living. But I will say that the main thing that comes to mind that I've learned working for myself, being a serial entrepreneur, owning multiple businesses, that staying true to yourself, full transparency, I'm 43, single, no kids. I've been divorced for over 10 years. And in a lot of ways, sometimes I have imposter syndrome because I can think the world looks at me and say, you're not successful. You don't have a family. You don't have $1 million with your business. You don't have this and this. And you're 43. How come you don't have this? What's the matter with you? Well, I think I really have a great personality, not bragging, just saying, just our interaction. I love this. I could do this for 2 more hours, right? We've had fun, right? Well, that's how I am all the time. I'm not turning on for you. This is
Right.
me. And I like that about myself. I like that I work for myself. I like that I can go into a room and no one's a stranger because I can just go up and talk to them. And I like that I make my own schedule. I have no debt. I like that about me. Maybe I'm not successful to what some people would think, but I'm staying true to myself. And I truly think that if you are okay in your situation, and everyone wants to do better, do I want 50 more clients? Well, yeah, but I am truly at peace with myself being 43 and in my situation. And I've learned over the last 3, 4 years, hitting 40 maybe is part of it. Stay true to yourself.
Yeah, that's a great way, and I would say that on that metric, you are very successful. I think you're on the right path to something great. And
Thanks, man.
if nothing else, you've got that trophy behind you.
Exactly. You can
See?
never take it away, except for if I don't win it next year, then we can take it away.
Yeah, yeah. And this look,
We'll have that screenshot
we'll
that the
have it,
commish took.
and we haven't even begun to talk about fantasy football punishments yet, so that's coming.
Oh man, I'm in for that. I love talking through that and and just razzing people and stuff. That's so fun. That's part of it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this year, especially with 64 teams, and it's going to be very public. So you got to be ready for it. But
I'm
Adam,
here for it.
it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I can say that yes, that you are exactly the same person we talked before this. We talked just before the show. You are genuine throughout. I'll say that, and you are the same guy, whether the microphone's on or off. And I think that is wildly successful for you, and I wish you nothing but the best there. I do also wish you success in Fantasy Turf War, but admittedly, I tell every team that, but
Right.
Yeah, not everybody can win, so
you have to be Goodell about it. I get it.
So I hope you win.
Right. Yeah.
So
he gave me 8 winks. He only gave
8.
Other
Yeah,
people
that's
7.
the subliminal.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's going to analyze that and be like, "Oh, look, Commish gave 5 winks in this episode because they stole something." And yeah,
Exactly.
Awesome.
Conspiracy always.
Where can people find you? What are you working on now?
Yeah, so my the company website I know is in the show notes, but influencer.tv. Influencer is spelled with two R's because we can. And you can find me just Adam Merino on Facebook and on Instagram, Adam Podcaster. That's me basically. But yeah, if here's the thing, guys, honestly, if you know someone who has talked about starting a podcast, I would love for you to mention my name because whether they work with me or not, I love having that initial conversation. Because the thing about starting a podcast is there's about 17 things that you don't even know you should be asking that I help get your brain going on that is super helpful. And so that is my value is coming up with the things that you don't even know you should be asking. And some of the things that you would want to ask, I would be like, dude, you don't need to worry about that for the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Things like that is my value. Then, hey, if we absolutely decide to work together, wow, awesome, great. But I just love having that initial conversation. So if you or you know someone that's been thinking about starting a podcast, just hit me up. I'm glad to have a conversation and give you all the free tips and tricks that I can. I always say you give away the farm for free and you charge on how to milk the cow. So
Oh,
I will give you our entire playbook. If you need help making that happen through editing or through, well, I don't know how to do this and this. All right. Well, you can pay for our services and I'm happy to work with you, but I'll give away the farm for free. Here it is. It's right here. I'll tell you all how to do it. So hit me up. I'm happy to talk to you. I love doing it. I would do it for free. Don't tell anyone that. I prefer to get paid so I can pay my light bill.
say your
But
business partner's on the other end going, don't tell
I know,
them.
dude, don't say that. Yeah. So, yeah, please give me the money. There,
Yeah.
there you go.
Awesome. And when they can't find you on Influencer, you're probably somewhere very close to Steve Young with his bobblehead.
Right, right. And I'm probably just off hosting a podcast. Is probably stay tuned. I'll be sending the link through Smack Talk, but I think many of our listeners today would love my favorite show coming is that 90s podcast where we talk all things 90s. I think that's going to be a blast. I think a lot of people would be interested in listening to that. So I'll send more information through the league and they can catch that because it's going to be fun. I'm doing it with a co-host. Her name's Christy and she's a viral TikToker. She's had millions of views on her stuff, and that's her shtick is talking 90s. And we are 16 days apart, born in 81. So we're going to talk all things 90s from the OJ story to Bill and Monica to the Chicago Bulls to fruit roll-ups and commercials and whatever it is, snap bracelets, pegging your pants, all things 90s. We're just going to get into it, right? So your brain's already going, right?
Oh, yeah.
So trust me, ours is too. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be super fun. So that's one of the things that's coming up that I'm working on too. That's really exciting.
Very cool. Well, Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure. I will see you in the league, and best of luck to you, sir.
Let's go.
Alrighty.